A Wisconsin activist walked 750 miles just to get to that march on Washington. Frank Nitty told NBC News those miles are just one leg of the relay to end racial injustice.
So we got about 34 or 33 miles on the other side of this to do, and then we're there. When I found out they were having the George Floyd protest on the same day as the Martin Luther King speech, I felt like what better way to honor Martin Luther King than walking. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna walk there, you know. A lot of people was like, he's not gonna make it, you know, didn't think I would really do it. So that's what really made it like a crazy idea to be going over 30 miles a day for 24 days straight.
Frank was out here protesting. He had been out here marching on a consistent basis for so many days, and then when he decided to walk to Washington, he asked me, he said, Tori, do you want to come along? I said, if you're serious, let's go.
Black Lives Matter!
So far, we've been called out of our names, racial epithets, and we have encountered every day things that should not have happened to any human being in America. These people are at war with us walking down the street. So we have to continue to bring these nasty, ugly issues to the front so America can see exactly what's going on.
My mother marched in the march. They're the same. Nothing's changed. And it can't stay this way. It's been 400 years. It's time for a change.
So we've had a lot of moments where people just had like an outpouring of love that happened from all the hate that we were receiving. Having people from Milwaukee drive down with tons of supplies, having the people in Warsaw come through with tons of supplies. There was an officer in Valparaiso that marched with us, stuck his hands up for Black Lives Matter. Before we left Indiana, there was a state trooper that gave me her badge and said, you fight for me while I fight for you. That was a very emotional moment for me as well. And to be a person, an individual that people look up to for that, I could never in a million years imagine that anyone would ever look up to me for that. So I thank God for this opportunity, and I appreciate everyone that believes in anything that I say or anything that we're doing, because we're just trying to get equality for Black people.
We need to get organized together as a nation of activists so we can call on each other whenever we need help. We need to demand change, not ask for change. They think this is a negotiation. This is not a negotiation. I came here to demand change. I'm tired. Are y'all tired? Because I'm tired. So when it's time to vote, we gonna vote. And if y'all see me up here, if you an activist, stop me out there so we can organize. It's time. This is the revolution. This is the revolution.
Kyle Rittenhouse will stay in Illinois for now. Today, a judge delayed his extradition hearing until September 25th. Rittenhouse is the 17-year-old charged in connection with the shooting that killed 2 people and critically injured another in Kenosha, Wisconsin this week. NBC News reporter Shaquille Brewster joins me now from Kenosha. Shaq, what happened today? Why did the judge delay Rittenhouse's extradition hearing?
Well, Allison, it was a hearing that lasted just about 1 minute. It was a virtual hearing, and we didn't even see Rittenhouse appear in that hearing. It was a hearing that was live streamed. And essentially what happened was his attorneys asked for more time. They said he's acquiring new counsel. He's trying to figure things out. And they asked for more time for any decision on extradition to be made. This was an extradition hearing. We know that Rittenhouse is from Antioch, Illinois, which is about 30 minutes away from where we are right now. He drove up to Kenosha on Tuesday with his firearm, and he is accused of shooting and killing 2 of those protesters, injuring another one. And this is a hearing to determine whether or not he will go from Illinois to Kenosha to be tried here. We know he's facing 6 counts right now, including reckless endangerment, including intentional homicide, including possession of a deadly weapon. His attorneys say that he was essentially acting in self-defense, calling it a classic self-defense charge or self-defense case. But it's a matter of time. We'll see what exactly happens. We'll know that we'll see him in court on September 25th, just about 30 days from now, as that hearing has been postponed. Allison?
Shaq, let's talk about Jacob Blake. His father says he is handcuffed to his hospital bed while he is currently paralyzed. I don't know how else to ask this, but why on earth is a paralyzed man in handcuffs in the hospital? And do you have a better understanding of why police were trying to detain him in the first place before he was shot?
Well, to your second question, no, we don't have a better understanding of why police were trying to detain him. We have that statement from the Attorney General. The state is running this investigation, and they say that officers arrived, they tried to arrest him, and they two officers unsuccessfully tried to tase him, but they did not answer the question of why he was subject to arrest initially. As for the detail from his father that he's being shackled to his hospital bed, well, the police chief just confirmed that detail. He said that he didn't have much to provide, but he said that currently Mr. Blake is being held by an outside law enforcement agency. He said that it's in connection to an outstanding warrant that was issued in July that was connected to a third-degree sexual assault charge. Now, we have reached out to Mr. Blake's attorney to see what is the status of that warrant. There is reporting out there suggesting that those warrants have shifted or there's been some sort of update with that. We were working to confirm that. But that was all the police chief was able to say. And in addition to that, the police chief added that he did not know whether or not the officers, when they pulled up and responded to that call on Sunday night before the shooting, whether or not those officers were aware of the warrant. That's part of the state investigation, and that's where where Kenosha's police chief is kind of passing this off to, but now giving us that new detail. Allison?
Shaq, how is Blake doing today? I know his father spoke at the march in Washington, D.C. What's the latest on his condition and how he's doing?
His father is in Washington, D.C. right now, and we actually got to catch up with him. Our Garrett Hake interviewed him as he was walking up before his speech. And one thing to note, he said while his son is doing better, he is in the hospital, he is still holding on and fighting for his life. Listen to a little bit of the interview earlier today from D.C.
But my son is paralyzed from the waist down. We don't know if he'll be paralyzed for the rest of his life or until the swelling, but I don't care. He grabbed my hand when I went into the hospital. He was squinting, and I said, "What's wrong, man? You in pain?" And he said, "No, I thought I was hallucinating." And he grabbed my hand and he just wept.
So you hear his father explaining or revisiting the encounter he had with his own son. We know that he was here just a couple of days ago and got to have that experience with him in the hospital. Allison?
Shaq, I just can't stop shaking my head because I can't understand how a man who is in tears from pain, who is paralyzed, is attached to the hospital bed. I know we need to move on from this one, but it does not make sense to me at all. It borders on sounding inhuman. I know today we also got some new information. Today, the Wisconsin DOJ identifying the other officers who were involved in Blake's shooting. What other information do you have?
That's right. They gave a few more details about the exact exchange and what happened before the shooting, and they also detailed the officers involved. We already knew about Officer Rustin Chesky. He was the one who fired the 7 shots into the back of Mr. Blake. That is confirmed by the state DOJ. But what they say in the new detail that we received is that right before the shooting, as the officers arrived, Mr. Chesky or Officer Chesky also tried to tase Mr. Blake, and that was an unsuccessful attempt to tase him. There was another officer on the scene, Officer Vincent Arenas, who also fired his taser in that initial exchange, also fired it unsuccessfully. And then we also have the name of Officer Brittany Marinick. She just joined the force back in January. Her role in the situation is not exactly clear. I know there's some video from that initial video that we saw that sparked everything. There's video showing her helping out and assisting Mr. Blake after the shooting. But yes, we now have a fuller picture of what happened, answering those or answers to those basic questions that we've been asking since the start of this, since Sunday night, where the real last statement that we got was on that Sunday night. Allison?
Shaq, I know we need to let you go, but quick question before you do. What are the concerns? Yeah. Are there any about protests or violence or anything tonight and heading into the weekend?
Well, I'll say the protests for the past 2 nights have been largely peaceful. That is not to say that there haven't been arrests. One of the main things that we've been seeing from law enforcement is they pulled up the curfew. So instead of it being at 8 p.m., it is now at 7 p.m. And in doing that, they explained the reason they did that is to allow arrests to happen in daylight, essentially. And one of the arrests have already gone viral. It was the arrest of folks in a black van and a bread truck. And they said they were with a food service, a food delivery service. Well, officers arrested 9 individuals after they were seen filling up individual gas tanks or gas canisters inside the vehicle. Officers say they found illegal fireworks, they found gas masks, and they found helmets. So officers are saying that is an example of what they can do now that they have an earlier curfew time. In addition to that, we also have the mobilization of the National Guard that is still here. 3 other states contributing to the efforts here in Wisconsin, contributing to the National Guard mission, still under the National Guard command, so still under state control. But now you have more reinforcements as we head into the weekend. We do expect protests to continue as they have been happening every night. Again, last 2 nights have been largely peaceful, so we expect that to happen through the weekend as people continue to reflect on and continue to react to the shooting of Mr. Blake. Allison?
All right, Shaq, thank you so much, and thanks for all of your great coverage from Kenosha throughout the week.
Thank you.
Viral pro-Trump tweets are coming from fake African-American spam accounts, Twitter says, and it's taking them down. The spammers are posing as black people leaving the Democratic Party in support of President Trump. NBC News reporter Ben Collins joins me now. Ben, tell us more about what happened here and how Twitter found out about it.
Sure. So one of these tweets went extremely viral and was also very fishy. It was an account that said, you know, look, I'm a lifelong Democrat. I'm going to vote Republican this year. This was on, Wednesday of the RNC. You could say, I'm done with this trash. I'll be registering Republican. I got 13,000 retweets. And people were like, I don't really know about this. It kind of appears that this profile picture is a Dutch model, which it was. And I talked to that Dutch model, and he was pretty nervous about his identity being stolen. And it was pretty rough. So Twitter was like, OK, we should look into this. They found a spam network around this account, and also another account called Kron619 had 38,000 followers and had 5 retweets, by the way, that had over 5 tweets that had over 10,000 retweets. So these are extraordinarily viral things tied to a spam operation that was pushing these pro-Trump messages pretending to be African Americans.
Ben, Twitter says it's seen an increase in copy pasta, an attempt to copy, paste, and tweet the same phrase, and that it may limit the visibility of those tweets. For non-super techies like me, copy pasta is a new term. What else should average people who don't necessarily have your tech knowledge, what should we be watching out for here? What are other signs that the tweets you might be reading or the posts that you're seeing on social media are fake?
So copy pasta is a thing that was used by trolls for a long period of time, just to joke around and mess around with services. Now it appears it's being used for political purposes. This was a 4chan thing, it was a Reddit thing, and now it's becoming sort of a Twitter thing to joke around about politics or to seed these political messages. And that's what you should look for. If you see the same tweet being tweeted over and over again underneath the replies of a famous person, a politician, somebody who's breaking news, that's what copy pasta is. That's done to simulate support for a group of people that really doesn't have that much support. It's astroturfing, and that's what happened here. Some of these accounts, they weren't just retweeted 10,000 times. Those messages were then posted onto other fake African American accounts that were created this month. So this is a coordinated thing. We don't know exactly who's behind it, but we do know that this is not authentic. This is very artificial behavior.
And it's probably something we're going to see a lot more of as the election gets closer. Ben Collins, thanks so much for talking us through it. And now I know what copy pasta is. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.